I wanted to first start by asking how many of us already own a short-term rentals, and if so, if you could drop it in the chat, what market are you in? I'm so curious to learn on who our demographic is today, and some of us might be interested in this market. Others may say, you know what, I'm not about the Joshua Tree hype, and I'm gonna stay where I know. Cool. Thanks everyone for joining in. Love it. Indiana. Indianapolis is on my list, so definitely curious to see how it goes. Georgis, right? Are you Greek? Maybe. So okay, we got some Joshua Tree in the house. Uh, First one I want to have an ADU above my garage. Love that, Ashley. Keystone. Oh yeah, baby. I went to the University of Denver, so I am all about the Colorado mountain markets. Um, Sweet. Stephanie, love it. I had a client that I was helping out. He purchased in Lake Arrowhead. His house is now currently on the market, and they are looking for something in Joshua Tree as well. One in Orlando. Okay, very cool. I love it. I love this engagement. Let's go. All right, this is great. Um, so it sounds like we got some skilled investors out here. And maybe some of us are growing, some of us have one, some of us have a few. And I am one that has a few in Joshua Tree. Um, Two of them, one is a land that I'm going to be building a new construction on. I have a flip in the works right now, and it's turning out so beautifully. My partner hates me because I'm kind of the designer on it, and I'm going way over budget. But I'll get there in the presentation as to why we have to go over market, excuse me, over budget, to make sure our product stands out in this market. And let's see. And I have another house that is got an airstream at the bottom, and I'm navigating regulations around that. And so I'm invested in Joshua Tree. I love this market. I'm getting married in Joshua Tree next month. It is going to be so beautiful. My journey, let's see if we can get to the next slide here, if that is possible. Uh, but anyways, my journey uh, started, as just a camper in the national park. And my fiance who grew up camping. Um, no, I'm not projecting yet. I'm just giving a little backstory, and then I'll jump into the slide. So my fiance who got me into camping, we just took a whim on going to Joshua Tree. Um, and from there, it just kind of, you know, sparked a love for the desert. And it just really took off. So here we go. I'm gonna open up this PowerPoint. Give me one sec here, y'all. Cool. So, are we seeing are we seeing my screen? Let's see. All right. Thanks for working with me, everyone. Give me two secs. A little technical difficulty getting these slides open. All right. We're good. We can see. Is that the consensus here? Awesome. All right, y'all. So it started with a love for the national park. And then a couple years went by. This is 2017, 2018, 2019. Uh, every year I saw it get busier and busier. 2020 happened, and oh my word, the world found out about Joshua Tree. COVID obviously made people look in their backyard for where to travel to. Um, a couple, big names in the Airbnb space started doing YouTube videos on how their properties were taking off in Joshua Tree. And the boom, the boom started, right? Your medium home price went from $287,000 in 2020, and in 2 years some properties tripled, most doubled in 2 years. So talk about insane appreciation. So that's why I'm here to say, Josh Tree, are the rumors true? It came, it saw, it conquered, it plummeted. Now are we back? Because after 22, we had a big time dip almost as fast as we went up. About 50% of that gain was was lost, and it scared everybody from jumping into this market. We had people panic selling their homes. We had new investors who came in, thought this was going to be an easy market to jump into, and they were in for a rude awakening because the saturation that you hear about this market, it is true, but I'm here to kind of tell you where it is, how to avoid it, and how you can still have a really successful rental in this market in 2025. So, my name is Nick Saremi. I love this market. It's close to me in Los Angeles. We're going to be moving there full time. And I already spend over half the month there, anyways, with business. And we're going to be moving there full time in just over a month. So, really excited about it. I've helped dozens and dozens of investors find their property out here. I bring the negotiation tactics that I really learned and implemented in my Los Angeles business, which you have to be fierce, you have to be savvy, and you have to be creative. And I brought this tactic over to the desert, where I will say things just moved a little bit slower, a bit more traditional, and thus that combination allowed my clients to get some really amazing deals in ways that they potentially didn't see. Um, Coming before. And some of these are off-market sales. So some of these homes never even hit the market, and there's opportunity there for sure. So let's jump in. Why Joshua Tree? What's the hype about? Well, it's got the national park, right? It's massive. The national park attracts over 3.5 million visitors a year. And let me tell you, it's people from all over the world. It's not just, people from the States. It is a melting pot out there. And it is thus attracting, so many people to staying in these vacation rentals. And every month a new one comes out, a better one comes out. Um, and I'll get there. So year-round traffic, it really is. I will say, like in the summer, this is considered the slow season, the off season, as you will. So the majority of the visitors come when it's not 105 out. But that said, it is way cooler because you are higher in elevation than you are in the lower desert, Coachella Valley, which is Palm Springs, Palm Desert, where temperatures can climb up to 120 degrees in the summer. Joshua Tree, Yucca Valley stays relatively cool in the summer compared to the lower desert. And so then we have our demographic, people from all walks of life. You have the appreciation for those who love nature. You have artists, you have creatives, you have influencers. It really appeals to a large group of people. You get folks that just want to come out and do mushrooms in the middle of some remote desert, So it draws all. And the more you can cater to, obviously, that occupancy rate is going to go up, and the more demand you have. When we're talking about regulations and restrictions in Southern California, in California in general, San Bernardino County has some of the more loose regulations with short-term rentals. They are friendly, as I would call it, as friendly as you can get with owning real estate and operating a business in California. So when we talk about what is Joshua Tree, right? Like is this just one city or is it a market? What is it? And so when you hear people investing in Joshua Tree, uh, it is not just the city of Joshua Tree. There are a number of towns up there that make up the Joshua Tree market. Joshua Tree being one of them. But you have Yucca Valley, which is, I'd say, the city that has the most infrastructure and commercial, real estate is Yucca Valley. Um, Great short-term rentals there. Funny enough, Yucca Valley actually has more Joshua trees than Joshua Tree due to its elevation. And so don't be afraid to invest there because the returns are pretty comparable to Joshua Tree as well. Then you have Pioneer Town. Pioneer Town, if you watch Selling Sunset, maybe you just saw a glimpse of what that was like, but that's pretty much a good representation. It is the luxury market of the high desert. So prices are steep for the real estate out there. It's a bit wild, wild west, and there are a number of really unique homes. Landers. Landers is north of Flamingo Heights on Highway 247, and it is a growing market. If you have a budget of around 300 to 400 and you want like a three-bedroom home, two-bedroom home minimum, Landers is where I would recommend looking. It is still up and coming. You can find some really nice remote properties on acreage. And yeah, that's what I got to say. Flamingo Heights, where I invest, the majority of my investments are just south of that, right bordering Yucca Valley. And it is kind of a trendy market that's kind of causing some hype, and it's a great pocket where I'm at. But there's some areas where you can definitely get some more affordable houses too. 29 Palms, this is the military base. There's also the main entrance to the national park is on this side. And 29 Palms is just a bit further out. So it doesn't draw the same nightly rates as Joshua Tree, Yucca Valley. But again, value, bang for your buck. You can definitely find something special out there for considerably less than you could in some of the prior markets. And then you have Joshua Tree. Joshua Tree is it's just a small little town. It's, a couple blocks, and you've got some great vintage stores, some restaurants. The national park entrance is there. You got a farmer's market and a flea market. It's a great spot to spend the weekend. And it does have the name Joshua Tree that people look to book when they're on Airbnb. Morongo Valley, in between Palm Springs and the Joshua Tree Market. So if you want kind of that happy medium of people who can go to Palm Springs but also zip up to the national park or Joshua Tree, Morongo Valley is where you'll find that. Property values are, I'd say, in the median range, not as expensive as either the high or the low, but right in between. Well, now I wish I could see any comments that are coming through here. Um, Let me see if I can. I don't know. Maybe I'll just have some friends let me know if there's any questions that pop through. Cool. Let's continue here. So STR market insights. I want to go into this real quick because the profile that I'm showing here isn't very glamorous. 53% occupancy rate. That's right around the national average. Annual revenue 50K, 58K, 60K. And what this is accumulating is a whole lot of two-bedroom homes, right? Because that's kind of like the sweet spot is the the well, sweet spot meaning the majority of these listings are all 2 to 3 bedrooms. Um, and then you have some 1 bedrooms, you have some 4 or 5 bedrooms, and you have some 6, 7 bedrooms. I will say that it is rare to find things in the 6, 7 bedroom range that are updated. There's not a whole lot of updated 6 to 7 bedrooms. So if you can find one, you put yourself in a place where you avoid a lot of the competition because there's just not as many of them. Um, so going to the 2, 3 bedrooms, it doesn't mean it won't work. It can totally work. It's just you need to kill it, in order to stand out in that range. Um, and I'm here to tell you how you do that. Now, let's see here. I did get a couple questions. Cool. Water supply, right? Got a question about water supply. Uh, there's a number of different ways properties get water in the desert, right? When you're out there in the boonies on 5 acres, you will see that some of these properties have hauled water. That's where the water company brings water to you on a, biweekly basis, fills your water tank up, and that is the water supply that you have for the next 2 weeks. Other properties are on city water, so that's really nice to have too. That is my preferred method of purchasing real estate, just to have city water is more convenient. Less things can go wrong. But again, I'm not gonna write off hauled water. It also, for some of these properties that are so secluded and in beautiful areas, like that's just the only way. They couldn't get city water there. Another really common way for properties to get water that are in some of these remote areas is a well. And wells are, I'd say, more common than hauled water, less common than properties on city water. So those are the 3 ways to get water to your property. To drill a well, you're looking roughly in the $30,000 range. Every time you drill, if you miss, it's an extra $5,000. There's a fun fact for you. So pray that you hit gold the first time. Okay, let's go. Best areas to buy an Airbnb in Joshua Tree. So I'll say this. There's no one right answer here. Because you can buy the wrong home in all of these areas. So there's a combination of buying the right property in the right location. So near the national park is it's a given that if you have a property near the national park, people will look there because they want that easy access to do their day hikes, visitation, whatever. So if they want to go downtown, it's all right there. So near the national park, Quail Springs Road, Monument Manor. These are Monument Manor is the neighborhood. Joshua Tree Highlands, another neighborhood, and Quail Springs Road will take you from downtown all the way up to the national park. So that's a solid spot to look. Pricier real estate for properties that may or may not have the return you want. So make sure you are looking into that and doing your due diligence and negotiating them down because that area got really hyped and appreciated really fast. And so some of these sellers are still at that point of where their property values are and were, and they think just because they're near the national park desert. So you can go out and be in some more remote areas and have an epic view and still get booked really, really well. So keep that in mind. There's a different options for you. It doesn't just have to be near the national park. Appreciating neighborhoods. This is knowing the different zones, what neighborhoods demand value, and where locals love to live too. So like I put in here, if your cash flow isn't where it's at, like you have a backup option. At least you invested in a great neighborhood that is going to be appreciating and growing, with the market. Because there's some that you just really want to avoid and not go near. And we'll go there right here. Um, the areas that got hit with the most saturation, downtown Joshua Tree. It's known as the Village. Super dense residential uh, pockets, neighbors right next to each other. Everybody doing the same design with their bohemian flares and their rattan and their murals, and it just got saturated. And when you hear about it and people losing their butts, in this market, that is where a lot of that happened. Um, it also happened in other dense residential zones as well, where it's just people came for that kind of open, vast desert experience, um, not to just have a neighbor right next door to you. And who knows the condition of that neighbor's house, because you will find some real junky houses out there too. So keep that in mind when you're investing here. HOA restricted communities, that's a given. I don't go near them. There's also not too many of them in the high desert, which makes it a bit easier to avoid. And then I put, is too remote a thing? Well, it can be. If you are so far out there from any restaurant, any shops, any distance to the national park, then yes, it is. It can be a bit remote, and you will see that on your nightly rate that people will not pay to be so far out. So there's a sweet balance between not having neighbors around you, and also not being a 50-minute drive, away from these hot spots. What to look for in a high performing STR, right? So this is what I help buyers with every day. Location, right? It's one of the biggest ones to just start with. Uh, I love Yucca Valley. I love Joshua Tree. There's different areas there where it's very in demand. You get the views, you get the appreciation factor, and then you get the distance to these various, spots, the park, farmers market, downtown. Uh, there's so many things happening in the desert every weekend, which is really special. So location is a big one. Also, I want to say the geographic area of those locations. If you can find a house that is gives you the national park feel, as well, like that is your golden route to success in this market. Having big boulders in your backyard, unbelievable value. Appraisers struggle with it because some of these homes that have boulders sell for so much higher than any comp in the neighborhood, and it's hard to put value on a rock. But they have them there because the value shows in your nightly rates that people will book you for. And I said locations number one. I don't know. It might be tied with amenities because that is really how people are separating themselves from the competition in this market. I put this photo here to the right. It's one of the first domes in the desert, from this company, um, and it's my buddy's house. He purchased it for 250,000. He was all in on it for 520,000. He put this dome on there. They became the number one property. They put it as their hero shot, the number one property in the Joshua Tree market. Their calendar was booked every single day, not a day missed for I think it was like 5 months out. Influencers came, they started blowing it up even more on social media. And this was something that, this market was just starting to see, and they marketed it well. They ended up selling this property 1 year later after it was on track to do $150,000 a year. After being purchasing it for 250,000, being all in at 500 something thousand. Uh, they're just to tell you, amenities, right? And they sold it for 850K a year later. Thank you, Dome. That's the best $8,000 investment you could have made. Are there a lot of copycats for the Dome right now? Yeah. This company's kind of, they're at a handful of different Airbnbs now out there. There's also other companies that make domes, so you see a number of them now. But do you just have a dome situated on a desert land, or are you marketing it the right way, right? Are you putting like a futon, a daybed, some plants, um, one of those things that make noise and is really peaceful, if you know what I'm talking about? Like this, yeah, this is my mind is still waking up, but you get what I'm saying. Yoga, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, cool. Other amenities that do really, really well in the desert, sound bath, yeah, exactly. Hot tubs to avoid seasonality. Let's talk about it, right? In the wintertime, you need a hot tub. Um, it just it will bring you business in these chilly months where it can snow, right? I was just there last weekend and we got snow in Joshua Tree. In the summertime, when the majority of the market suffers, if you have a water amenity, you will do well. You will do well. You can stay 70% occupied in the summertime if you have a great water amenity and your property's locked in. A pool, in-ground pools are becoming more popular. Cowboy tubs is the budget way around getting to a water feature in your property, but maybe building a nice deck around it, right? So it's not just a steel tin bin in the middle of the road, desert. Like it has something else that is, working with it. So yes, if you can add a water amenity, you will be booked in the summer. Um, much more compared to your neighbors. Design and architecture, this is okay, lot size too, right? So lot size, I love investing in properties that at least have 1 acre. Um, it's not to say that properties with less than that are poor investments, but the future of where I see this market going, the more space you have, the more room for amenities you have, the more open feel that you can give to your guests who are probably coming from really small backyards, right? At least in Los Angeles, you don't get much of a lot size. So people love that openness feeling. Design and architecture, this is a little different in our market than it is in most. We have some of the most unique architecture in the world, as you can see through some of the photos that have been popping up. Um, Designers, architects, builders from all over the world come and bring their concepts here. Uh, you saw the Doolittle house a couple slides ago, that really unique shape. It was in the beginning. Um, and people love it. People love booking it. People have an appreciation for design and architecture here in this market. So, um, also like things to look out for, large windows, right? Contain like let's get as much of the natural light, as much of the views of the desert as we can. How can we incorporate that indoor outdoor flow? And here's some challenges, right? So, like I said, I'm not shying away that the saturation is not real. It is super real. Um, but through the steps that we just went over, like there's ways to avoid it, and you need to be picky. One out of probably 18 deals on the market right now makes sense. So you have to find that one. And and then also look at how can you add value, right? Because typically if you're buying a completely finished product, unless you're getting it for a great price, most likely they're going to want you to pay a premium for it. And in today's market environment, the interest rates are so high, property values have not crashed as much as they would need to for you to make sense of buying a fully finished product. Unless, again, you were adding value to it, you were adding amenities, you were adding a design experience in the home. So, success requires in this market strong branding presence, design, and the guest experience. These are picky guests, a lot of them coming from some of these major SoCal markets of Orange County, San Diego, Los Angeles, there's some higher expectations. I own a property in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and let me tell you, some great guests. Not a whole lot of, nitpicks as I see in the Joshua Tree market. So know your clientele, know that you have to perform at a high standard to succeed in this market. Luxury properties with built out amenities, when I see those pop up, right? These are the properties that will sell for a premium. If they already have the amenities all built out, people will snap those up. They don't want to do the work, and they can just turn it around, right? There's no waiting 6 more months of holding costs just to get a pool and a pickleball court and XYZ built. Um, and like I said in the very beginning, this is a market where you got to spend money to make money. So, within reason, right? But is definitely one where if you splurge in the right way, you will see that return come back to you tenfold. Cool. Do we have any questions on this slide? Um, Amenities, what it takes to succeed in this market. Cool. Maria asked, or sorry, not Maria, Myra. Myra asked, what are the standard amenities? Well, I'd say the ones that I see the most, hot tub, cold plunge, um, fire pit, some sort of deck, barbecue. That's my like most frequent spotted amenities. I love the cold plunge. I love the sauna. Not all properties have them. Um, this is a very much wellness and health focused market. So if you're bringing these spa-like amenities to your property, you're going to do well. Cool. Let's move on to regulations and legal considerations. I won't spend too much here because overall it's a relatively friendly market. Short-term licenses are required. It takes pretty much 6 weeks to get one from the county. The county is who jurisdicts Joshua Tree, uh, parts of Yucca Valley, Flamingo Heights, Landers, parts of 29 Palms. But then there's the cities, and I'll call it the town of Yucca Valley. It's its own entity, and when you work with them directly, it moves a little faster because they don't have as many properties that they have to, kind of oversee. So, and then the city of 29 Palms also has its own entity where you apply directly through there. So those two cities have their own, they have the caps at their short-term rental license caps. Once it hits, can't get any more. Right now, there's plenty to go around, so hasn't been an issue. Occupancy limits in per house, you got 2 people per bedroom plus an additional two. So if you have a 4 bedroom home, you can sleep 8 plus an additional two, 10. A 2 bedroom home, you can sleep 4 plus an additional two, 6. Um, Zoning laws, a lot of rural land on acreage. I don't really see zoning for the majority of my part affect the best places to invest in Joshua Tree. Occupancy taxes, yes, they do apply to short-term rentals. They're a bit higher in the town of Yucca Valley than they are in the county, but everyone's kind of used to these taxes, right? Most markets have these TOTs. All right. I wanted to show a deal that I just closed last February with a client. Um, when they say that there are no more deals in Joshua Tree and this market is dead, um, are the rumors true? I'm here to say no, because properties like these prove that's that analogy wrong. This is a four bed, 2.5 bath home with a detached garage. That, if it's okay, I'd like to just pop open this link real quick. Let me see if I can share. Give me one sec. Cool. Can we all see this? Let me know. Hopefully we can. Okay. If you can't, I'll wait for a text for someone to send me. But anyways, this is the property that I closed on, right? Um, and it was originally listed for 659, and we closed for 675. Now, hold on real quick. So I'm getting some questions here, but anyways, okay. I wanted to show why this makes sense, and why it got four offers in the first week, and why it sold for $15,000 over the asking price. Four beds, 2.5 bath. We can sleep here, 10 guests, right? This style property does well. This Adobe Santa Fe style property is desired. Um, Look at the views behind it. Look at these mature Joshua trees here. All of these are bonuses, um, and signs that it can be a successful rental. And then we look at the condition of the inside and the outside. So it could use some updates, right? And that's exactly what my client intends to do. So he's going to be putting around roughly $70,000 into a cosmetic renovation, updating the kitchen, uh, updating some of the bathrooms, and like this one, um, and just increasing the value just off the bat, right? Let's take away cash flow, short-term rental guests, take that away. Just appreciation in updating a home needs to be thought about. And I know sometimes as investors, we're so focused on cash flow, amenities, but like you're adding value to the home when you're doing these upgrades and taking care of it. So keep that in mind. And I wanted to show you the backyard, right? Here's the detached garage, big old space there. He intends to convert that into potentially an ADU, at the minimum, just a permitted fifth bedroom where he can now sleep up to 12 guests. And when you look at properties in Joshua Tree of 10 to 12 guests and what they're producing with amenities, you now get to these numbers 150, 160, $180,000 a year, and more, right? So if he's all in, at the end of the day, at we'll call it 850,000, and he's generating 170,000, I call that a great deal here. Um, there's going to be a pool. There's going to be a pickleball court right here. So you can just see the room. It's already graded. He doesn't have to do anything there. And look at those views. And then to top it off, it is in a fantastic neighborhood in Yucca Valley. So I'm super excited to see this one turn around. And I'm going to go back to the slide here. Cool. Give me one sec. Cool, we're back. So, um, there you have it. There's still deals out here. You just need someone to help you find them. You need to know which ones to stay away from, which ones to go towards, and how you can add value. I hope you got something from this. And I will open it up to questions at this point in time. Thank you, everyone. So let me see how I can get out of this. And that's my info, by the way. I'd love to help you. I'm slammed right now with a wedding in a month, but for some reason I'm being blessed with some amazing clients. Um, got two clients into escrow last week, helping a few more, and I'm really like I'm sending some fantastic deals out. It doesn't work for everyone, but the ones who see and are ready are taking advantage and swiping up properties like the one I just showed you. Cool. So, questions, everyone. Let me see. How much does a pickleball court cost? You can expect to spend anywhere between 22 to $26,000 for a pickleball court in Joshua Tree. If they are selling it to you for $15,000, just be a little weary. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I've seen some really poor built courts out there, and then they have to be remade. So then let's see. I'm going back to Yash's quote. I thought there was a max occupancy rule, like a 5 bedroom can't sleep more than a 4 bedroom. So there's here's the caveat to that, right? I believe 12 guests is the max right now for the county. But if you have a property that has a separate detached structure, you can get a second permit for the detached structure to as an ADU. Um, that ADU can get its own permit. If it's a 2 bedroom ADU, now that ADU can sleep 6 guests. Now your main house can sleep 12 guests. And now you combine those two permits together under one booking, and you can sleep 16 plus guests. Hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, Myra, you sent, I think working with a short-term rental focused realtor comes with being able to use their resources of having introductions made to local contractors, cleaners, um, people in the community. I give my clients my whole vendor list and give them the best prices. And I've already vetted a lot of these vendors out there. And I've gone through the ones that are bad and the ones that are great. And so I've done the work for you. So I know Tyler does the same with his clients. So absolutely. In-ground pool cost. Somya, the in-ground pool cost can range. It depends, right? What kind of terrain it's on, if there's rocks around it, or if it's just a flat gradable area already. $55,000 would be your minimum pool, I would say. And then you can go up to $150,000 if you want your waterfall features and the size of the pool and pebble tech, salt water, all these different, kind of details and upgrades. I'm building a pool at my property right now for $84,000. That comes with a electronic cover that goes over the top. That cover alone was $18,000. Um, Way more than I thought they would cost and what I wanted to spend, but we are putting the upfront investment into that because what we run into in the desert is high utility bills to heat up a pool. And so that's going to retain the heat really well. And over time, we'll save money on our investment. Also, wildlife can sometimes slip into pools and guests complain. So when I have a cover on it, I don't have to worry about that. Um, just thinking ahead, but eating the cost up front. How long will it take to add an ADU for the extra occupancy? Um, It depends, right? If you already have a garage that's detached, or um, maybe it's attached, and you can still claim it as an ADU and have a separate entrance. Um, or if you need to build something from scratch, that will take longer, right? But you have if you have a parcel of 2.5 acres or more, you are allowed to have an ADU. If it is less than that, you will struggle to be able to build an ADU. So 2.5 acres or more, you can have an ADU and I believe a JDU. If you have a 5 acre parcel, you're allowed two ADUs uh, in addition to the main house. Thanks, Trish. Let me see if did I miss any questions. So I know there's a few people in here that said they were potentially interested in this market. If you have any questions, um, please just send me a text, and I'd love to answer your questions directly and to see if this market's the right fit for you. And we'd find you an amazing property that proves that the rumors are not true. Uh, Somya, with a pool, there are properties charging different heating costs. Curious to know how this affect the ADU. I'm not sure what your question is. Oh, the ADR. Sorry. Um, yeah, I mean, what a lot of people do out here, right, is that they charge their guests roughly 150 a day to heat the pool. So they make up the costs, and people will pay it. In the summertime, you don't need to heat up your pool. So that's great. Uh, in the winter, if people want a pool, they're going to be paying pretty much $150 across the board to heat up a pool in Joshua Tree. That's what most guests charge because they don't want to eat up that cost. Um, Speaking of utilities, you will be frightened of your utility bill if you are in the summertime running that AC all year round, especially in those hot days. It can climb to over $1,000 a month. Solar panels are crucial in this market. You can operate a home without one, but I would say solar is a great investment in the desert. And I have a fantastic rep that I can introduce you to. Um, Mag, say there's a detached garage. How long will it take to add an ADU, two bed, two bath, from permit engineering plan to such? How much will it cost, and how much forced appreciation will this ADU add to the value of the property? Oh man, we're getting some nitty-gritty questions here. I love it. So, I'm not a contractor or a structural engineer, so I can't quote hard numbers there. But I'll give you this because, like, on average, to convert a garage into an ADU, it's roughly around $90,000. That's with plans and cost. Well, how much force appreciation will this ADU add to the value of the property? Well, this is why I love the ADU plays because you now have permitted square footage that you can add to the main house, right? So when you go to sell this property one day, if you do, um, your 1,400 square foot home, right? That was original, the main house with the garage. Well, now you have an 800 square foot ADU that you can add to the 1,400, and now you're living at 2,200 marketable square feet. Um, and then you do the comps of what 2,200 square foot homes are going for in that area, and you'll find the value of your property. The cost of domes are anywhere between 5,000 to 20,000. It depends what company. The one that I showed there was around $8,000, and there's some more elaborate ones that can climb up the scale of price. Love it. Still got 20 participants here. I'm not going to leave until I'm done answering these questions. So I'll be here with my iced latte. There she is. All right. Yeah, Steven, no problem. Let me, I know one of them's hype domes. Let me let me just copy and paste. I want to show you guys. Copy the link, please. Okay, let's see if this works. One, two, and three. All right, friends. Hopefully you find your dome needs on there. Hmm. If nobody's seeing the three links that I just sent, hopefully you are. Cool. I meant what would be some additional expenses that this particular market had surprised new investors going there? Yeah, I mean, utilities is a surprise for some people. That is definitely one. But again, um, solar panels kind of are the cure to the power bills out there. Additional expenses. That is different from most markets, right? Um, there's not what here's a surprise is that you don't really have to spend a whole lot in landscaping routinely. The desert's kind of like the desert and that's it, right? It's its own landscape. Obviously you can add cactus here and there, but like you don't need to have a gardener come and mow the lawn every week, you know? That's there's savings too for being out here in the desert. So it's not all like negative surprise expenses. Some are some savings. Um, let's see what else. Cleaners pretty standard, right? You can expect around $200 for a two-bedroom home. Uh, 450 for a five-bedroom home, to a six-bedroom home. Um, yeah, there aren't too many surprises that are different than any other market. Um, we don't get like snow that you have to plow, right? So like I'm saying, like there's some expenses that you save. Um, it can get hot. It can get hot in homes if you don't have the right insulation. Windows, uh, dual panel. I prefer them. Just better on energy overall. Who takes the garbage? Uh, yeah, there could be a lot of trash. The city is who takes the garbage. You pay the city and they will come. And you can even pay them an extra fee to come down to your property if it's farther away, like a long driveway or a unique location. You can pay an extra fee to have them come to your yard, pick it up, take it to the truck. Cool. Want to make sure got all these questions answered. Everyone got my number so that when we leave and you have a question tonight at 10 p.m. that pops into your brain, you can find me. Yeah. I'm sure I have someone that can help with solar pool heating. There's a lot of specialty solar guys out there and girls, women and men. Uh, that could definitely help. All right. So I'm gonna end it here just a minute or so before 9. Um, Appreciate you all for staying here and being so engaging. I love when I get to like not just read a screen, but also engage with you investors. It's, well, it's the best part about it. I'd love to share more about a market that's very special to my heart. And if you have any further questions, you got my number. Thank you. Getting married next month in Joshua Tree, so further planting my roots there. Thanks everyone. Appreciate you. Have an amazing day.